Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to the social media track. Can we have a bit of a cheer? It's like nearly lunchtime. Come on, we got more than that. Keep going, keep going. Feel like I'm at Glasgow Pyramid. Anyway, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have got some very exciting things coming up. Definitely make sure you stick around. We've got loads and loads coming on. We've got TikTok secrets being shared by yours truly. We've got an epic panel all about Gen Z social media managers from Gen Z social media managers. And we'll be closing out with some of the most valuable information that we're going to hear probably at this event, which is all around engaging and connecting with your audiences. So I might be a bit biased as a Gen Zer myself, but the reason the social media space is so exciting right now is because I really do feel that Gen Z are the ones controlling what happens next. 54% of Gen Z are on social media 4 or 5 hours a day, which is absolutely nuts, but 2 in 5 Gen Zers claim that they're on social media for even more than that, so wild time to be on it. And considering how powerful this generation is and will continue to be, you're definitely in the right place. And so to kick off the social track today, I'm excited to be sharing Antler's 10 top TikTok tips, try saying that after a couple of wines, to smash your competition with. Here we are. So obviously, it's the morning, we're all, we've learned a lot, we've been here, we're through the trenches, so I hope you've had your coffee, I hope you're ready with your notes. We've got a lot to get through. I found out a couple of weeks ago that there are 34 million videos posted on TikTok every day. That is a lot of content to tackle, and it can be incredibly daunting whether you're opening up social media for the first time that day, TikTok for the first time in your life. And so before we get into the nitty-gritty, can I have a quick show of hands, I'll do my best to see you, of who here is part of a brand or an agency, and you're a 1-man, 2-man, or even 3-man social media team? Yeah, thought so. Quite a few of you. So this is for you. My job today is to help you guys leave this room ready to tackle your TikTok strategy tomorrow. Whether you're an absolute beginner or whether you are a seasoned expert, you know everything. Hopefully I give you a couple more tips to go ahead and do even better. But why listen to me? Well, I'm Vic, lovely to meet you. I'm the CEO and director of Antler. Antler's a TikTok-first social agency, so we do everything and anything to do with TikTok, to do with content creation, to do with Gen Z, that's our bag. But previous to Antler, I was on TikTok myself. How many of you remember Musical.ly? Does anybody know that word, Musical.ly, the app? 1 or 2, okay. Well, you're the OGs, so congrats, we're in the same room. But I was on TikTok back when it was Musical.ly, created my own channel, fell in love with it. It became TikTok. I worked at TikTok. I then ran a TikTok department at a social publisher. And here we are. That's my life story in a nutshell. That is enough about me. So the first tip to get you guys going, and this is what I mean, we're starting right at the beginning, getting prepped. What this should look like is something like this. You should look like you're sat on your phone, packet of crisps on your chest, glass of wine in hand, getting prepped, just really get to know the platform from the bare beginnings. And the first thing you want to do is have a look at your competitors. What are they doing? We want to understand how are they showing up on social? How are they creating the content? How are they packaging it up? How is their audience engaging with it? And most importantly, how is it performing? Because what you can do is use that to your advantage. They've done the hard bit of testing the space. You can see what's working, whether that's views that you care about, whether it's engagement, what that engagement looks like. You can see, okay, well, that really worked well. So we'll note that down and we'll do a version. That one is kind of shit, so we're not going to do that. We'll leave that one behind. The next thing you can look at is your UGC and your community research. Your competition is all well and good. That's one thing that's really important. But actually, TikTok is made up of the community. It's what it's all about. So what are people in your specific space doing, creating, talking about, whether that's about you on your own, or whether it's just about the topics that's relevant to your business. So are you a tortilla brand? Your tortilla, for example, looking at wrap recipes, food creators, tortilla as a whole, but also just like eating in London, places to eat in the UK, things like that. How are people interacting with that content? What are they doing? What are they saying? Relevant buzzwords as well is all part of that. So utilizing that search feature on TikTok is going to be really powerful. And what you can do is keep an eye on the top 5 or 6 videos of that list of buzzwords to understand how that's changing over time, because these are the top trending within that buzzword. So the most recent, but they're also the most popular. So you can have a look at how the content space for you is changing in that time, and you can keep up with that momentum, keep up with that change. And the last one is understanding the TikTok features. TikTok really favors you when you look after and you create content specific for the platform. So if you can prove to the algorithm that you're utilizing the reply to comment feature, you're utilizing stitches, you're utilizing duets, however you can utilize specific app features for yourself, it's going to be super, super, super important, and the algorithm will definitely love you for it. So we've had her sit on the sofa. You know, we understand the platform now. How do we go about it? So this is where we want to strategize like a pro. We've just heard that there's 34 million videos posted every single day. That's a lot of content. And for a lot of people, you open the app, you scroll on the For You page for a little bit, and if you're a marketer, you're going, fucking hell, that's a lot. That's a lot. I should probably do all of it. You don't want to do that. What we stand by at Antler is a 3-pillar approach. And the 3-pillar approach is where you come up with 3 TikTok-specific formats that are broad enough, so you've got longevity, they're never going to run out, people aren't necessarily going to get bored. There's a lot of versions of that to be played with. But they are specific enough that over time you can get that data analysis and you can understand why videos are performing a certain way. And the reason is it allows you to take the data and really analyze why that video in particular, or video format in particular, has performed versus another. And you can then evolve your content over time, taking that data on board. So for example, we worked with Pitch. And Pitch is a London golf bar, and we had a lot of fun doing this one. And we really, really hammered home the 3-pillar approach strategy. We actually started off with the 3 pillars, which were trends. We utilized trends for the reach. We wanted to use the sounds to make sure that we were, getting the opportunity that it had. We had the tips. We wanted it for credibility on the golf front. So, the pros in the shop, in the store, in the bar were talking about different ways that you can swing a golf club. And that was all for the credibility and for the fact that we wanted to target that niche audience. And the last one was aesthetics, because we wanted to show off the bar. It's a cool place to be. And what we learned really quickly was in the first one or 2 months, the trends were getting the reach, but they weren't getting the engagement. The tips were getting engagement, but they weren't getting the reach. And the aesthetics, we don't need to talk about those. So what we did was we learned, okay, we need to find a middle ground. We need to do the Top Gear of the golf world. We need to appeal to the amateurs who don't care about golf at all. We also need to appeal to the elitists. So we honed in on 1 pillar after 2 months, which was the challenges. And the challenges were super accessible. We're utilizing specific golf terminology to connect with the golf audience, but we're also keeping them nice and easy and very simple to digest for the amateurs as well. And over a 6-month period, we generated over 2.2 million views. We had generated over 10,000 new followers for the account, and the average organic views rose from 300 to over 5,000. So it was a super, super exciting time to see how that creative evolution can massively benefit your organic community in the long run. Number 3 is planning your content. Again, it can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of things to do on TikTok. And really, what you want to be doing is exactly this. You want to Mr. Bean this. The long-term content calendars are going to hinder you in the long run. Long-term content calendars mean that you can't be reactive. TikTok really benefits you when you're off the cuff. Even if you feel off the cuff, but it's been planned for months, it's got to feel off the cuff. It's got to feel in the moment, super authentic. I hate that buzzword, but unfortunately it's very true. And very, very honest. So long-term content calendars will immediately hinder your ability to connect with the audience. Similarly, lengthy approval processes. There are many, many, many of us who have experienced it's got to go through 25,000 people before we get a nod on some trend doing a dance. It's immediately, even if you're being reactive, your approval process is going to be the thing that stops you. So trying to limit that to a 1, if not 2 day at the most approval process is going to be incredibly powerful. Obviously, that's a hard thing to try and talk your seniors into and the bosses who need to approve it. I know that that's an incredibly hard thing to do, but the spiel that we always give is if you want to be on TikTok, you've got to play the TikTok game, and this part of it is something that we've got to draw back the curtains for and unlock the shackles and allow us a bit of freedom to see that success. And the last one is your brand guidelines. Everyone's obviously got them to an extent. Some are more intense than others. But brand guidelines, again, are going to massively hinder you, and people are going to see you on TikTok as solely a marketing strategy. The reason brands like Duolingo, Ryanair, Innocent do so well on TikTok is because they don't have these brand guidelines. It feels like a kid that's just dicking around on a brand account, and everyone's a bit like, oh, Christ, didn't think that was coming from a brand. That's an extreme version of it. But you want to be able to connect with them, and if you're hindered to certain phrasing or you have to reply as certain different words, which I'll come on to in a little bit, then you're going to miss out on that connection opportunity. The next one is getting creative, and we often get asked, how do I make a TikTok? How do I do it? Honestly, there's no right or wrong. The three things that we stick by every time we create a TikTok is a phone, iPhone, Android, whatever you use. We always have natural lighting. It's very rare that we'll have a studio set up. We want to make sure that it feels like it blends in with the feed, that UGC feel of creation. But if there's talking, often we use mics just to make sure nothing gets missed. But when it comes to actually sitting down and making that video, this is entirely up to you. We use Premiere Pro so that we have control over the clips, over the sound. It's easy for feedback. Obviously, as an agency, that's really important for us to just be able to be nice and nimble. Once we have that video, we then take it onto TikTok and we add the on-screen captions, any features that we need, so your reply to comments and things like that. And often we'll go over to CapCuts for some more nitty-gritty details, whether that's a different type of caption, whether it's a trend that we need, all of those sorts of things. But you can do all of your content creation on all of these. You can edit the clips together, you can play around with the sound. So it's really down to you guys to have a fiddle, see what feels more comfortable, see what works better for your speed, your pace, and all of that jazz. The next one is scheduled to swear by. There is a vicious rumor going around that you've got to post 7+ times a week to see any sort of success. It's just a complete lie. The reason that doesn't work is because you're going to end up running out of steam for your creativity incredibly quickly. You're going to be using up all your best ideas within the first 10 days. You'll get frustrated because the next 4 videos are a bit subpar, and then you'll sack off TikTok and it's someone else's job in a month or two's time when it comes back into conversation. And so to make it far more sustainable, we've been working incredibly hard over the last few years to find out what's the best schedule, what actually works for both performance, but also for sustainability. And we found that the sweet spot is around 3 posts a week. The 3 posts a week allow you to have one of your 3 pillar approaches, those 3 formats that we spoke about before. You can do one of those a week, makes it way more accessible, way more realistic for you to stick to, but also means that the algorithm knows that you're there. Every time you post, or every time a user comes onto your channel, they will see that your posts have been uploaded 1 day ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So they can bet that you're a very active user and they can rely on you for more content. When it comes to how or when to post, again, the beauty of TikTok is there is no real right or wrong answer. It's all about confidence and experimentation. And so we always experiment with days and times. Naturally, we found that weekends and Friday nights don't necessarily work that well for us, although there may be the one-off fluke. But if you're not sure on how to go about this experimentation, there is a tool built for that, for you in TikTok. You have the overall analytics of your channel. If you click through to followers and scroll down, you'll see the most active times of your audience. And then you can see from an hourly rate, when are they most active and how many on average does that look like, but also from a daily rate. So you can have a good go, have a pretty educated guess on when is the best time to do that. The next one is SEO is your best friend. I'm an absolute sucker for SEO, and if you end up following me on LinkedIn, I apologize in advance because honestly, this is all I talk about ever. But SEO has become a huge part of the TikTok stratosphere. Over 60% of Gen Z use TikTok for search, and over 40% of every user on TikTok uses TikTok for search. So if you're not tackling the SEO approach on TikTok, you are missing out on a huge proportion of people who are actively potentially searching for your sort of stuff. So if you can create an SEO approach and really experiment with it, you are going to go a long way. So what is this? Well, this is where you're utilizing specific keywords on your content about your brand, about the video in particular, about the trend you're talking about any cultural moment that's happening. You're utilizing those keywords in your copy, in your caption, on screen. And this is because, obviously, as people are searching things to do in London and a golf bar pops up, you come up because your buzzwords are relevant. And what you're looking for, you see in the top left, you're looking for the video to clock what it is that that's about. So, for example, this is Purple Bricks, one of our clients, which is a real estate brand. And almost every single one, about 95% of our videos, the SEO picks up. There's UK property, what is an ISA, all of these different things that are going to benefit you in the long run. If it doesn't come up, it will say find related content. And find related content means you haven't quite nailed it this time. It's no drama, but just figure out what did you do, what picked up before, what hasn't picked up this time, and how can we change that? So, the worst thing, in my opinion, that you can have on TikTok is horrendous, clunky jargon. On screen, in your caption, wherever that may be, you've got a big, ugly, marketing-fueled chunk of content and text, And so a way that we found to avoid this, and this is probably our biggest trade secret, and it's one that we're very proud of, but this is where you can type out on the screen, as you can see, Typing out the relevant words. So for example, if we're creating stuff about today, YMS, YMS Social Media Conference, YMS Summit, Youth Marketing Strategy, all these different phrases that are relevant to today. And then what's it about? Gen Z marketing, TikTok marketing, how to create a TikTok video. You then shrink it down, you swipe it off the screen so you can't see it. It will be coded into that video, and it allows you to have nice and short captions, on-screen copy, so that you don't have that ugly marketing jargon. And the reason is because, as I said, you want to see that that SEO is being picked up. So definitely track what you're writing and keep an eye on how that's performing. And an example of this is Fitify. So this was our fitness dating app. And we had a lot of emphasis on fitness and dating SEO, so two quite different things. And we wanted to make sure that the SEO was being picked up as much as we could. So we utilized it every time. And every single video did get SEO. We analyzed what it was and what the video was about. And this particular video was a April Fool's Day prank. And the SEO that picked up was April Fool's Day prank. And when we looked at the analytics, we saw that the traffic source of this was the main reason people found our video. 81.9% of people saw and watched our video because they had searched a relevant key term such as April Fool's Day prank. The next one is throwing out your tone of voice guidelines. I'm so sorry about this one because I know this is the hardest battle, but stay with me. People do communicate very differently on TikTok. You may have seen the Duolingos, the Ryanairs, we'll reference them a fair bit, but we want to make sure that we're talking in the way that the audience is responding to. So you want to adopt that TikTok language, utilize relevant abbreviations, consistently use those emojis. Most importantly, speak as me, my, and I, not we and us. The minute you talk as we and us, there's a barrier up. So always speak as me, my, and I. Most importantly, communicate as a friend. And speaking of that, the community management process is super important. Just posting your video, disappearing and coming back when you next got a post is an absolutely terrible strategy. The algorithm will somewhat blacklist you. It will see you as a bit of a bot. So you want to make sure that you're giving time back to the platform, making sure that you're commenting and engaging. And so you want to scroll on the For You page, find the most recent viral content, comment something, often witty, and then monitor those comments, see what picks up the engagement, and then reply to comments on your own content as well. An example, again, is XIX. This is the Sidemen vodka that we ran for the best half of a year. And we did a lot of community management in the tone of voice of the Sidemen, where we were called admin. People were often asking if we were KSI. I was like, if only you knew, you'd probably be a bit disappointed. But we focused on that recognizable tone of voice, and we really committed to it daily. And over this period of time, over a year, we generated over 350,000 profile visits to the channel. We consistently saw comments with over 200 likes, but we grew the channel by over 100,000 followers organically. So it was a huge, huge effort, and one that really paid off for us in the end. The penultimate thing is measuring success. You have an average view-through rate of 14.49%. Everyone loves a benchmark. It's really important that you've got those, and some there are industry benchmarks for, some not so much. So your average view-through rate is 14.49%. If you can make sure that you're matching that or exceeding that, you know that your content is really generating those views. The average engagement rate is sitting at around 2%. It's declined over recent years. So if you can, again, match that or exceed it, you know that your content is lovely. People are engaging it, they're enjoying it. What we like to do internally is aim for 5 to 9%, because if we can consistently over-exceed that average, our audience is higher engaged than everyone else's on TikTok, especially your competition. And there are two more that aren't necessarily benchmarked, but you've got profile visits. We want to manage these internally, understand what people are coming and what's happening that's creating that buzz and creating people to come through, so you're doing more community management. Or your new followers as well. Has that particular spike in profile visits generated new followers? So how can you make sure that you're doing more of that process and that progress to generate higher followers, higher engagement? And the last thing is don't stand still. Just because you've got a video that's popped off doesn't mean you've cracked it, doesn't mean you can retire. It means you've got work to do. Understand why that's working and making sure that you're listening to the data in your analytics per video for the channel, all of that jazz, and understanding how you can then evolve that from a creative standpoint, from a copy standpoint, from a tone of voice standpoint, all of these different things. So making sure that you're tracking the data that TikTok gives you for free, then you can do far more with that and continue to evolve and continue to grow. So just as a quick recap, this is a good time to take a photo. You want to use the community to your advantage. You want to streamline your strategy. You want to create a realistic posting schedule. Don't sleep on SEO or your community management. I see some phones, good job. And you want to evolve off the back of data, not opinion. Just because you like something doesn't mean everyone else will. So thank you, I appreciate it. Just as a heads up, there are little cards on your seat where if you haven't managed to write many notes, that's fine. There's a recap video on there. There's also a QR code for a WhatsApp chat if you want to sit and have a chinwag. And we've got the whole Antler team here. So if you want to head at the end of all the talks today, you want to head to the masterclass section, we'll be there. You've got Ange, who's our strategist and SEO queen. You've got Jess for creative. You've got Harry for paid. And if you want us to run your TikTok, you come find me. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it.